Welcome to Not So New News. Come along with us as we continue to discover an Appalachian time gone by. Today's article comes from the town of Whitesburg and appeared in Letcher County's oldest newspaper, the Mountain Eagle, Volume 2, Number 46, Industrial Edition, Section 2, dated July 22, 1909. Page 8 is not named and continued in today's reading. Kentucky and Southland's greatest financier and philanthropist, J.C.C. Mayo. An account of industrial affairs of eastern Kentucky cannot be given without the constant mention of John C.C. Mayo of Paintsville, Johnson County. For on every hand there is some development of our resources underway, some deal consummated or being promoted under his direction or by someone of the many companies he organized. His history for the last 15 years and history of development in the mountains are one and the same. He is 40 years of age and is born in Pike County and reared on a farm adjacent to Paintsville, where his parents now reside. He attended the public schools of Paintsville in early life, completing his education at Millersburg, Kentucky, where he has taught school for some time after his course as a student. Years ago, in his boyhood, he conceived the idea of devoting his life to the development of the natural resources of the mountain section of our state, vast in their extent, but remote from railroads and unthought of and then unsought by capitalists who alone had the money to do the work. A great deal of money was necessary for this development. No one in the mountains had it. For years, Mr. Mayo developed his time and the limited means he could command to prospecting, getting definite information of our resources, and all the time advertised our dormant wealth in every way he could, trying to present the situation to cautious investors in a way that would appeal to them. All this required foresight, energy, and a degree of hope no other man among us seemed to have. After years of unceasing effort, he has succeeded. He has accomplished his purpose and has made the fortune he so richly deserves. The details of his work would be interesting, but to give them would require page after page of this issue. With the details told, our readers would be quick to give him credit for the present bettered conditions financially of the people of the mountains, for the higher prices our lands are bringing, and the general economic social amelioration that has come about within the last few years. Hence, hundreds of thousands of dollars have been expended in various ways by Mr. Mayo and his associates. When he at last found the capital that he so long looked for, Mr. Mayo organized the Northern Coal and Coke Company, which became the owner of approximately 300,000 acres of coal lands in Pike, Floyd, Martin, Johnson, Letcher, and Knott counties. It has expended several $1,000,000 in payment for these lands, in surveying, abstracting titles, prospecting, and tests. It has had forces of men at work in all of the counties in which it has had lands for several years, doing the accurate work Mr. Mayo requires. When general development of the holdings of this company begins, work for thousands of our citizens will be supplied, and for generalizations, better economic conditions will prevail. It is Mr. Mayo's policy to develop all the property in which he is interested as soon as it is at all practical. Besides his stock in the Northern Coal and Coke Company, he is largely interested in other landholding companies in this section. After his purchase of large blocks of land in the upper Big Sandy section, so as to ensure co-operations on a big scale, the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway extended its line of road from White House to Elkhorn City in Pike County, a distance of about 75 miles. And at different places along this extension, companies organized by Mr. Mayo and in which he is interested are mining and shipping coal. One of his companies is making preparations to operate on Miller's Creek, Johnson County, near Paintsville. A few miles of railroad will have to be built. This will be a big operation, the coal being very fine and the acreage owned by the company large. This operation will mean much to Paintsville and Johnson County. The plant will be modern, up to date, and will cost great sums. Besides his holdings in coal properties, Mr. Mayo owns several thousand acres of timbered lands of the finest quality. One block of timber of 12,000 acres that he owns in Martin County is said to be of the best lumbering proposition owned by any one individual in the state. Outside of his holdings in the eastern part of the state of Kentucky, Mr. Mayo is largely interested in the financial institutions the general public knows little about. He is a stockholder in the different banks and gold mining properties, electric railways, and other substantial things. Mr. Mayo is a philanthropist of the highest order. His charity is unlimited. His gifts to schools and churches in different sections of the state have been large, single donations often amounting to $5,000 and $10,000, regardless of denominationalism. Although greatly interested in the financial, moral, and educational upbuilding of the state in general, and the mountains in particular, he takes a special interest in his home county and town. The Sandy Valley Seminary, an institution founded and run on a high plain located at Painesville, is a monument to his generosity, his contributions being the greater part of the cost, which is about $50,000 for grounds and buildings. A church is now under construction in Painesville of stone size about 60 by 90 feet, which for construction, architecture, finish, and furnishings will be unsurpassed by any church in the state. It will cost about $40,000, most of which have been and will be contributed by Mr. Mayo. His spirit for public improvement has brought about the paving of the streets of Painesville, although it is yet a smaller town than one would expect to find with paved streets. His residence, now nearing completion, is one of two of the best and costliest in Kentucky. The other is that of James G. Hagan near Lexington. The many ramifications of Mr. Mayo's business require a great deal of work on his part, but he is essentially a worker, and with his great fund of general information, his quick perception, and above all, his natural desire to do the right thing by his associates and those with whom he deals, easily disposes of business propositions as fast as they present themselves. His impulses are always for good, and on all moral questions that arise in the field of his influence, you will find him on the right side. This concludes today's reading of page 8 of the July 22nd, 1909 Mountain Eagle. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for your continued support as we bring to you the history of the Appalachian Mountains.